AngryJoe here, and I'm with Simon Mann, the battles designer behind Total War Warhammer. I just got out of the demo, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It was fucking awesome!
Yes, that's what we want to hear.
I got you for a second. No, seriously.
You had me for a
My jaw dropped. My mind... Oh, I scared you. My mind was blown because of the Rome 2 situation there. Well, thank you very much for doing this interview.
This is an absolute pleasure, man. It's great to be here.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm being completely honest. This demo blew me away. My jaw was dropping. The juices were flowing. I want the game right now, basically. Now, of course, I have nowhere to begin.
Yeah, where'd you start? Right?
You just took. You guys already had fantastic battles and animations and things, and with a historical context, and you just basically took off all of the restrictions, all of any sense of holding back. You just went for it completely, and it is amazing, guys. There are units with multiple kill animations. You've got trolls picking people up, ripping their heads off, spitting their heads. You've got fucking huge ass arachnid spiders. Just like fucking impaling people, eating them, spitting out their shields and swords. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. And it was all, now, I must ask you this. It did seem quite scripted because, you're looking at the magic and you're showing off everything. But is it really going to be like what I saw?
That's the plan, right? It's like kind of what we've done with this is definitely a kind of choreographed demo, as it were, right?
Yes.
The camera control
There's
is all
no
done
real AI here
in game.
because
there's no AI. We're
it's
telling them where
scripted
to.
AI.
We're telling them where to go, right?
Okay,
we got
because you know
so
how I
much
feel about
to
AI.
show. I know your feelings on AI.
Please don't mess that up on
we
this
are
one.
always like improving the AI.
All
I mean, like. Kind of we've been since Rome 2. We've constantly been kind of striving forwards. Like
Do you have like a new AI
was
team?
really
Is it
strong.
new guys?
Our
Same
AI
guys?
team, kind of we're still working on it. We're still building, like kind of as even a studio as a whole, right? We're constantly growing. It's how we've been able to finally do Warhammer, like, because we can finally give it that amount of, like, the amount of art and animation we need for it alone is just insane.
Whereas I would stare at Greek units and all day long and Roman legionnaires all day long, here I can stare at them 3 times longer because all the little orcs are doing, they're so unique and they all do little things in their teeth, and it's just, it's amazing to look at. And then the battles, and please don't let the units clump up, because here in the scripted thing, that's how it should work. You need to make it work like that, where it doesn't just become these huge things. If it works like that, that's your target, then we are going to have possibly the most amazing Warhammer licensed game to date.
I mean,
I'm serious. To date, this captures the essence of the tabletop in a way that I have never seen before. So. What am I talking about it for? We need to hear from you on it.
I mean, this is what I was
you're
gonna
the
say,
battles designer.
Yep.
How the hell are you going to balance all this? Because I saw huge arachnids. I saw tanks, cannons. I saw griffins, aerial battles fighting each other. And then there was an orc shaman that created a fucking moon on the battlefield, and it was swirling with dark energy, just killing all the Empire soldiers. How are you guys gonna balance this?
I mean, to any Warhammer fans out there, they'll recognize everything you said right there, right? This is
There
all
are-
stuff from the Warhammer universe to start with.
Yeah, and the orcs don't use horses. They all have unique mounts. There's wolves. There's spiders. There's
It's gorgeous, right?
Yes, it is
absolutely
gorgeous.
beautiful. And like as you say, like we have brought so many toys to the table now, right? Like previously, you're well aware of like kind of what the unit balancing and the kind of different.
How the hell are you gonna do that with spells?
Spells is great, right? The spells you saw there are super powerful and they look epic, right? It's all about size, scale, and also because you're doing spells that create moons and call down comets from space and summon orc gods to stomp on your enemies.
Yeah, that's right. An orc god just stomped on the siege tanks.
The Foot of Gork is the spell.
The Foot of Gork.
Amazing. But like, these are your top end spells, right? And they're so powerful. They're so strong, right? But the idea is these are A, top end spells, but B, we've taken something from the Warhammer game called the Winds of Magic. Now, think of it like a kind of a mana bar, right? But the good thing about the winds of magic is, depending where you're fighting, the winds are different, right? Strong winds means lots of magic, lots of spell casting that you can do, right? Low winds, you may not be able to cast any spells at all.
Right, so are these objective points? Like over here, if I get that flag, there's strong
No,
winds
this
there?
is geographical, right? So where you're fighting from the campaign map, the winds of magic vary. Like, it's similar to, before Battle previously, you kind of had choose your weather conditions, something like the winds are in the battle, so depending on which battle you're fighting, you may or may not be able to cast certain spells.
Use tons and tons of magic.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you may build your army full on magic,
I
and that
wouldn't do
army
that.
may have weaknesses, right? Weaknesses
Because it's a
in
shared
areas.
pool as well, right?
Exactly.
All your mages share one pool of magic.
I see.
So if you bring lots of mages in, you're gonna die really horrendously quite quickly, right? But like that's the cool thing is through the winds of magic, it means you can't just be firing these big spells off like a Gatling gun, right? Though it would look really cool.
And though the Empire does have Gatling guns, I saw those.
They do. Hellblaster volley guns, they're called.
Hellblaster.
Oh, man, they're so good against cavalry charges. But, like, basically, these spells, it's like you can't just cast loads and loads of them. Like, this is your game changer, right? You cast it at the right point. If the enemy maybe are in a tight formation, that spell could kill a lot of guys, but maybe they're really spread out, very cavalry-heavy army. Maybe it's like greenskin spider riders all over, right? They're kind of running around. They're really spread out. The spell's going to be a waste of magic, right? You're better off casting maybe some buff spells or maybe some debuff spells, which kind of you can maybe even slow those cavalry down, right? Using spells to kind of make them more vulnerable to your own cavalry. So you got to kind of really choose. You can either go for the kind of one big kind of hammer blow, as it were, or you can go for the kind of death by 1,000 cuts. You can just cast little spells on them.
One thing I noticed also in the demo is not only are these units crazy going at each other in unique ways I haven't seen before in this franchise, but also the environments are just as insane. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing with where we're fighting.
Our environment artists are going to love you, right? But basically, like, you are currently fighting in Blackfire Pass, right? It's kind of on the border between the kind of Estalian Empire provinces and the Greenskins provinces. It's like kind of one of the only routes through into the land of Mann, right, basically, for the Greenskins. So this is the quest battle, the Greenskin armies coming over the hill, and, as you can see on the battlefield, like, we've really gone for this idea of verticality with all our battles.
Yeah, it's like... I never expected coming in here. I don't know why I thought, I'll use the tree as covers, or I'll it'll be normal, but then it'll just be Warhammer units. No, the environments are like completely out there, of course, because it has to fit within the universe.
Yeah, I mean, like, where you fight is as important as the story you get from what you're fighting with,
There's
right?
lava waterfalls in the background. There's interesting things there.
Did you see there's a Dwarven Karak? They're kind of underground cities. There's kind of one just behind you there. Like,
oh my god.
Those,
that's
the
right,
entrances
like a
to the
cavern.
Dwarven mines and things like that are there,
like you
right?
could find relics in there.
In like the first Battle of Blackfire Pass, the dwarves were actually present at the time. So, this is a place with story, with history.
So
and like,
is that going to affect combat or gameplay? Are we going to have to do the stupid, capture this flag or capture a lava pool? I mean, is the
you will not
units
have to capture a lava pool,
Okay.
I promise you that.
Okay, cool. But is there any interactability, or is it just the armies fighting? How do environments just look pretty? How is this?
Something like the environments are going to affect you, right? You're going to have things like ground types and stuff like that, and as well as you saw the Empire Cavalry in the forest.
Obviously.
The Empire Cavalry, you could see them, but to the Orcs, they were hidden in the forest, right? They did not know they were there, and so they were able to use that kind of terrain to do it, and as well as like the undulation of the terrain. You saw when the Orc Boar Boys, the Savage Orc Boar Boys, are charging down. You've got the Hellstorm rocket launcher, like firing, and the explosions. They were partly saved because there was a hill in the way, right?
Exactly.
That gave them that little bit of cover they needed to survive the initial onslaught of the Empire's artillery and actually finally reach the kind of range units that were actually there. So yeah, like the environment itself, as well as kind of being storytelling, will also affect the gameplay that you're playing. And each of these environments has got to be epic, right? That is our goal with it. Like, they will all be epic like this, and they will all tell a story of a part of the Warhammer world. And like, we're really,
and there's
going
to be that same variation on, because on Total War you can get lots of different maps. We're going to get lots of different, not just handcrafted ones and like 4 of them, because we're fighting in a small world. This world is big, right? And we have lots of different locations.
Really huge,
and we are trees on this one, no trees on that one, all sorts of good stuff.
We're going to have loads and loads of different locations, and the quest battles themselves are going to have their own locations, which you can then go and fight in as well. Like, they're not just for the quest battles. These are actually places you will be, like, you can fight your own Battle of Blackfire Pass, right? Right place, right time, right army, and you're in there.
And that leads to my next question. Are we seeing houses or like castles or sieges? Are there going to be any siege battles in Warhammer?
There'll definitely be cities expansions, right? You'll see kind of the provinces provinces and regions, but we'll be going into a lot more depth of that when we do the full campaign announcement. But yeah, you will be seeing a return.
All right. Oh man, it does sound exciting. So long as you make sure your AI team does their job, and we don't get the blobs of units, and we get the individual choreo. And that's another question is, you were able to motion capture people and stuff for those maneuvers to create these individual fights. Are we still seeing that system of individual fights going on between an orc and a human? We've actually never really seen a game where they fight en masse like that before. How much of a challenge is that for your battles?
So we've done a lot of work with the battle system. As I say, we've got all the new animations to bring in, right?
Yeah.
We want to give them justice and make them really cool. So you were seeing things being picked up and thrown around. That's our matched combat system, which I'm sure a lot of players will be used to, especially from like Rome 2 and stuff like that, right? Like, it's man on man. They both get into an animation to get their dancing basically through combat, and like, one of them wins, one of them loses, and that's the fight. We've got to deal with units of different shapes and sizes.
Oh man,
we've had to change the way we do it a little bit. We've used what we call the async combat, which is units can now pick who they want to attack. They strike, the unit reacts. They're playing separate animations, but it allows us to make the combat that little bit more snappy and like give a lot more speed to it, and that feeling of kind of movement and kineticism like into that gameplay. Right.
And so many unique units. Your animators have outdone themselves. Hopefully these are animations that will show up in the game, because
these are
there's
in-game.
like they're in game. Okay, because you guys know how awesome it looks when a cavalry charges in. How awesome when it looks when these like little griffins, what are they? They're like
demi-griff knights.
Demi what?
Demi-griff knights.
Demi-griff knights charge. Not only are you getting a lance to your face, but you're also getting the claws of the demi-griff.
And have you seen like the way that the charges work? We've got this kind of idea of kind of like the kinetic frontline, we're calling it. That's our term for it. But basically all the animations you see, like anyone when they're attacking or charging, you see them leap.
Yes.
Like leaping, and the demi-griff knights, for example, they actually kind of jump and bring their spears down.
Yeah, it just this game has so much more impact and things going on in the actual battles than say your historical context, because it has to make sense. Obviously there weren't flying griffins back
if
in
only
history.
there were, right?
Yeah, right. So I mean, this is just it's sounding so good. One thing I didn't see in the demo is the campaign map, and you guys, please, you have to apply asymmetrical gameplay ideas for the different factions. They have to play differently, right, on that campaign map. Obviously, the humans and their empire don't work the same as orcs and their hordes. Are you guys taking all that into account on the campaign map?
Yeah, so I mean, like, kind of as a prelude to this, you've seen the differences in the battle, right, between the two factions. It's that large on the campaign map.
It's the same.
It's
so we're going to have
huge,
different
man.
play experiences, but depending on your race, completely different.
Yeah, I mean, like they're all playing on the same campaign map, right? Yeah. They're all on the same board, but you've got the humans. The Empire are very much about mechanics that you'd be kind of familiar with as a Total War player, right? They're all about politics.
Starting players should start with them.
Yeah, like the Empire are all about kind of the politics side of things, right? There's lots of lords vying for control within your faction, and as Karl Franz, you've got to be putting them back in line and dealing with that. You're collecting taxes, you're building your buildings,
so we got like
you're
the
expanding.
Family tree and
not a family tree. There's no lineages, right?
Right.
So the idea of time is gone. It's like Karl Franz is always the leader.
Oh,
but
right.
The other lords around him, like, they could break off. Like, all sorts of things could happen from it, right? So you've got to deal with that side. You're collecting taxes. That's your kind of main income source. And then you've got the greenskins.
Right.
Much, much more fun, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, like, the greenskins are going to be all about fighting.
Yes.
They love hitting stuff. If they're not hitting stuff, they're hitting each other. Right? And it's like one of the ways he brought the tabletop war game in, right? So if the orcs are fighting, and an orc war boss, kind of a leader, a lord of it, is fighting lots of battles on the campaign map, and he's winning lots of battles. Now, greenskins like to win. They don't like losing very much.
Right.
If they see a guy who's a winner, they're like, I'm getting on with it. Like, this guy, I'm following him.
So they join his army.
So they form a war. And a war is when, like, all the orcs and goblins kind of join up with one kind of, I say charismatic, he's just bigger than everyone else, leader, and sort of follow them around. On the campaign map, suddenly, you've got more troops.
Yes.
Like, right? And you've got more soldiers fighting for you. And this is going to be about momentum, right? You're building up a rolling rock, right? You're building up momentum and then sort of smashing your way through possibly the empires.
And it seems
provinces.
like you guys really understand the lore, because not only is it about these unique creative battles of different units that are so creative clashing together, it's about the heroes. And I can already tell from that you guys know that that's super important, because general speeches are back. Well, they've been there, but they're better than ever, because in this universe they fit so much more.
I know, they're so epic.
Listening to the general speeches, that was always one of my favorite things. things. And so, so obviously that was a human general speech. Are we going to see speeches from the other factions? I mean, maybe the humans are the ones that talk. Do we see orcs going, "Stupid humans, we gonna smash you"?
Are you free for voice recording at any point?
Yes, I am. I am.
So
free,
yes, you will be seeing it, like, especially for these quest battles. They're a whole new battle type, basically, we've not done before in Total War. But yeah, you're going to be seeing the general speeches, because these quest battles are really the way that we
quest
help
battles.
tell.
That was something he mentioned. Ask about quest battles. So what? But before we go to quest battles, I must continue on those heroes, because now instead of your agents being, "Oh, I'm a diplomat" or "I'm a spy" on the little campaign map, they do those same things, but they come into battle with you. And they are heroes within themselves. One guy's got a huge hammer, another dude's like a priest or whatever, and they have their own heroic abilities in battle. I was like, that is so genius. Now these individual units that I level up and I care about, and they have traits and stuff, now have actual personality that you get to see on the battlefield.
I mean, they are characters.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest things about Warhammer is it is about your character. Like, imagine you're someone collecting an army and you've been sitting there, you've been painting, painstakingly painting your army, and like, I loved always making my own general. Like, I didn't want to, I mean, the name characters are important, but I didn't want them in my army. I was all about having my general. I'd name him and give him attributes and items relate to that, and you're doing all that on the campaign map and making your characters, as you say, it's not just your generals anymore. This is like your agents, your heroes on that, your witch hunters, your warrior priests, your kind of orc shamans. Like, these are characters. And like, for the first time, I think it was an interesting point you made there. It's like, you've got characters in battle. It's not just the general anymore. You've got like just your characters.
Yeah,
like,
you're managing
your witch hunter's your best friend, right? He's been in your army since like turn 2.
Yeah.
He's been following you around all the time. He's been your most loyal, trusted, like, kind of combatant, right?
And then when he goes down, like, you shed a tear because you see an arachnid take him out or something.
Right, because I mean, without age, these characters, like, you're going to want to invest in them, right? They're not going to grow old and kind of die naturally. No one dies naturally in the Warhammer universe, right? But they're not going to grow old and die naturally. They're going to be there for you, and if you use them for the entire game.
So they're not the stupid, the years go by so damn fast and I don't get to use them. I'll be with him unless he dies or unless I can't use him.
But the kind of passage of time, of years, no longer really occurs for us.
That is so cool. Okay, let's talk about the quests that he said to mention. What are these? This is a new mechanic in a Total War game.
So this is kind of a really good segue on, right? This is about character again, right? So whereas we're saying you can create your own characters and kind of really mold them your way and do it that way, this is kind of something more Warhammer narrative. This is more kind of like tidbits of the Warhammer universe that we're offering you. So for example,
lore, that fluff. You gotta have that in there.
So like, Carl Franz, if you look at the kind of Warhammer rulebooks, he's got a lot of cool weapons and items you can give him. For example, Galmaraz, the Warhammer, right? That is the Warhammer, it's Galmaraz. Now, this quest battle that you saw today is part of the Galmaraz quest chain. So on the campaign, when you spend a skill point in Galmaraz, you unlock this story, this journey that he must undertake. And it tells the story of it. It tells the story of kind of the orcs kind of building up and how he's got to kind of track them down and deal with them at Blackfire Pass, right? And, you're aware of what you're going to be fighting before it even occurs, right? There's orcs gathering, there's an orc horde gathering, and like, we're constantly giving you those little hints. You're like, oh, I better be prepared for some orcs coming over that there hill, right? And then you build up your army for that, and then you have to travel there.
And actually do that.
You're fighting a preset army, so it's almost like a historical battle. But
that is really cool.
You create
built
your
into the actual campaign, man.
And it's just similar to the heroes. It's like it's just another way we're like blurring the line between campaign and battle,
or anything that you can.
You unlock Galmaraz for this particular quest. You get the Warhammer. That's and that's a bound item, right? That's Carl Franz. No one else is having that, right? It's such a powerful item. But for any other battles you fight, you are unlocking loot and equipment and followers that you can attach to your characters and like sort of trade those. Not the bound stuff, but like you can trade those bits.
Excited as I am.
I'm so excited about this one.
It really is. Now, multiplayer, obviously, or please, it's there. Obviously, it's there.
Definitely
we're going to be using the different factions. What factions are we going to be able to play in this game?
So, kind of the main playable factions are going to be Vampire Counts, Empire.
Oh, sweet, the Vampire Counts. That's
They're
kind
my
of a
favorite
unique
as well, right?
choice. I thought that, okay.
Vampire Counts, Emperor, Empire, Greenskin, and the Dwarfs.
Dwarfs, okay.
Dwarfs with an F.
What about the elves?
What about the elves, right?
What about the
this
elves?
is the start of a trilogy for us, right? We're releasing.
I did not know that.
Oh, this will be good then. So we're releasing 3 games, right? So 3 separate standalone games. They're all standalone. You can play them all on their own, or if you buy any number of them connected, they tie up and become a single game. So they're almost like standalone expansions that then tie back into the main game. So as you're buying the games that come out, we're expanding the world, we're expanding the number of races, we're expanding the amount of items and ancillaries you're going to get. What do you mean when you say
it ties into the last one? So if I have the first one, I buy the second one, and I own the first one, I can then play the first one's campaign map with the second one's armies? I'm not sure what you mean. They
stick together. They become, the campaign map will expand. As you get the expansion. So we're concentrating on the old world for the start, which is like the core area, and this is why the vampire counts and stuff come in. And the map's going to get bigger and bigger as you buy the expansions, with more kind of races coming out of it and more items and
Obviously, we want the most factions that we can get at the beginning, but it's I mean, based on how unique all the different units are within the armies, I can see there's got to be a limit to what you can do if you want this game to come out before 2019, right? Yeah, so I'm down with expansions so as long as it comes out, it works, the AI works, the campaign map is asymmetrical with the different factions feeling completely different.
We want to do it right as well, right? Like the reason we've chosen to do just the 4 factions because each of them deserves that attention and like going in that much depth with them. Because imagine if it was your favorite faction. Right?
Exactly.
We've got to do them right because like everyone's got their favorite factions. Even in the office, we've all got like, who do you like the most? Like, and which is your favorite?
Yeah, and there's 2 more super important things is customization. Can you talk a little bit about customization? Are we able to name our generals, name armies or anything like that, sort of apply our own, form a relationship with the people that we are creating and fighting with?
So customization is, of course, super important, right?
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear you say that.
If you played the Warhammer tabletop game, you're going to want customization,
Like,
right?
I want an army painter in there. You guys possibly have an army painter for multiplayer?
With this tentpole release, we're really going to try and stick with the lore at the moment. We're really going to try and get that core gameplay and those core kind of races really telling that story really well. But
introducing people to the fantasy version, because I'm a 40K guy, but I love the fantasy stuff just as much.
And lots of people who love Total War, but maybe don't know Warhammer other than that it's a really cool fantasy series. Like, we're going to get them into it, and then we're going to get loads of Warhammer people who've never played Total War. So, kind of the challenge for us is to make a game that's really accessible to fans of all the different genres, maybe even both, maybe neither, right? Like people who just want to give it a go and make it accessible for them.
Our units and do an army painter and customize it.
So that's something like that we're really looking forward to kind of bringing in later, right? We're going to be doing DLC drops, free DLC. It's something that we are definitely, because I think we can't really do without it.
You could do
it's
the names,
important.
Please do at least the renaming. If we can't do an army painter at the beginning, it would be so much if I can rename my generals and stuff. And I know you guys are trying to stick with the lore, but think about it. Just think about it.
It's all right. I am thinking about it right now.
So excited.
So we have had renaming in previous Total Wars, so we'll have to see what we can do about that.
Yes, please. Well, I'm so excited about Total War Warhammer. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Cheers very much.
And when does it come out? Okay, because I want it now. Can I take that demo home with me, please?
We got one under there. You can have that. So basically, we're coming out on PC, Mac, and Linux, and sometime in 2016, mysteriously.
Okay, hopefully sooner than later. And thank you so much, and we'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.